High IQ people don't follow the routine you've been told to copy, and spending 30 days living the one that research actually points to made that obvious fast. The 5 a.m. wake-up, the cold exposure, the perfectly blocked morning. That whole framework assumes your brain performs the same way everyone else's does at the same time everyone else's does. For a lot of high-performing minds, that assumption is exactly wrong. And once I stopped treating it as the baseline and started looking at what the data actually says about how gifted people structure their days, a few things shifted in ways I genuinely didn't expect. One of them, which I'll get to later in this video, almost completely changed how I think about intelligence and daily habits. And it's the one piece of this I can almost guarantee you haven't heard framed this way before. So here's what this video is. I took the most credible research I could find on the habits of gifted and high-performing minds, built a 30-day routine around it, and lived it. Most genius routine content you'll find online is stuffed with fake stats and content farm clickbait. This isn't that. These are the real patterns. And I'm going to walk you through the ones that actually move the needle for me, starting with the one that immediately broke everything I thought I knew about productive people. The habit I want to start with is the one that flies directly in the face of almost every routine video you've ever watched. Research has found that night owls tend to score higher on cognitive tests than morning types, and a study that looked at data from more than 26,000 people found a link between an individual's preference for evening activity and higher brain function. A study from the University of Madrid followed nearly 1,000 teenagers and found that evening types outperformed morning types on inductive reasoning tests, a key component of many IQ assessments. The night owls in that study also showed better working memory and faster information processing. So when I stopped forcing myself to be a morning person and just let my brain work when it actually wanted to, which for me is later in the evening, the quality of my thinking genuinely went up. Not the quantity, the quality. There's a reason for this too. Psychologist Satoshi Kanazawa theorizes that while our ancestors rose and fell with the sun, advances in technology have allowed intelligent brains to override that impulse and seek stimulation late at night. The quiet hours aren't wasted hours. For a lot of high IQ people, the stillness and alone time of night are ideal conditions for introspection and brainstorming. It's during those late night moments that new ideas actually surface. Now here's where it gets more interesting. Because staying up late is only half the picture. The other half is what's happening while you sleep. And this is the part almost nobody in this niche talks about. Most sleep advice tells you to just get 8 hours and call it done. But research on gifted individuals suggests the difference isn't really about how many hours they sleep. It's about the architecture of that sleep. Specifically, how much REM they're getting. REM sleep is where your brain consolidates complex ideas, makes unexpected connections, and processes emotional information. So during my 30-day experiment, instead of just tracking hours, I started tracking REM. And what I found matched what the research suggests. The nights where I got deeper, more structured sleep, not necessarily longer sleep, were the mornings where my thinking was sharpest. That's a very different goal than just get to bed earlier. Optimal sleep duration for cognitive function still sits at around 7 to 9 hours. But the timing of that sleep matters less than most people think. What matters is that you're actually sleeping in alignment with when your brain wants to wind down, not fighting it. Now the third thing I changed was my workspace. And this one is going to make a lot of optimize your environment people uncomfortable. I stopped cleaning my desk. Not completely, but I stopped obsessing over it. And it turns out there's a reason that felt more natural. Research suggests that cluttered workspaces are actually associated with unconventional thinking, that a messier environment can help certain types of minds spot more possibilities and make novel connections. The clean, minimalist desk is great for executing known tasks, but for creative problem solving and generating new ideas, a little chaos on the surface might actually be a feature of how some high IQ minds work, not a flaw to fix. So we've covered when you work, how you sleep, and where you work. But here's the one that probably matters most in terms of what you're actually doing with your body during the day. And this is where the science is genuinely hard to argue with. Researchers at the University of British Columbia found that regular aerobic exercise, the kind that actually gets your heart rate up, appears to boost the size of the hippocampus, The brain area involved in verbal memory and learning, resistance training, balance work, and muscle toning exercises did not show the same results. That's not a mood boost. That's a physical change to the organ you're using to think. And this connects directly to something else I noticed. On the days I ran first, my ability to single task for long stretches went way up, which brings me to the next habit. High IQ people aren't multitaskers. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that single tasking is significantly more effective than splitting your attention across multiple things. And I know that sounds obvious when you say it out loud, but the number of people who still have 6 browser tabs open while trying to do deep work is staggering. During the 30 days, I started treating deep work like a meeting I couldn't reschedule. One thing, fully present, then move on. Here's another pattern that showed up consistently in the research and in my own experiment. Deliberate solitude. Not introversion, not avoiding people. Deliberate, scheduled alone time used for self-reflection. High IQ individuals tend to build stillness into their routines on purpose, and it's tied to emotional regulation and self-trust. I started taking 15 to 20 minutes each day with no input, no podcast, no music, no phone, just thinking. It felt uncomfortable for the first week. By week 3, it was the part of the day I looked forward to most. Your brain needs time to process what it's already taken in before you pile more on top of it. And then there's one habit that I think gets dismissed as laziness, but is actually a sign of smart resource management: outsourcing low-value tasks. High IQ individuals tend to deliberately hand off anything that someone else can do, not because they're above it, but because they're protecting their cognitive bandwidth for the thinking that actually requires them specifically. During the experiment, I made a list of everything I was doing in a week that didn't require my unique input. Some of it I automated. Some of it I delegated. The mental space that freed up was immediate and real. One more thing worth mentioning, and this one surprised me because it goes against the genius works alone stereotype. Research frames high IQ individuals as active feedback seekers. They don't wait to be told they're wrong. They go looking for it, because they see feedback as information rather than judgment. I started doing this more intentionally during the 30 days, specifically asking people to poke holes in my ideas before I committed to them. It saved me a lot of time going down wrong paths. If you've made it this far, here's what I want you to take away from this. The high IQ daily routine looks almost nothing like what you've been sold. It's not a 5 a.m. alarm, it's not a spotless desk, and it's not a perfectly optimized morning stack. What it actually looks like is working when your brain is naturally sharpest, protecting your sleep architecture, not just your sleep duration, moving your body in a way that physically changes your brain, and being ruthlessly intentional about where your attention goes. Those are the levers that actually moved for me over 30 days. Now, if you want to take this further, if you're curious about how to actually build focus that lasts longer than 20 minutes, or how to structure your week around deep work, I've got a video on exactly that, and it pairs directly with everything we just covered. Go watch that next. And if any of this challenged something you thought you knew, drop it in the comments. I genuinely read them, and the conversations down there are usually better than the video itself. Subscribe if you want more content like this, because this is the kind of stuff I dig into every week. Now go watch the next one. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching my video. It really means a lot to me.